Hello Nursery, Mrs Armstrong here. Now this week we are reading our favourite stories and this is certainly one of mine. This is called Billy's Bucket and it's by Kes Gray and Gary Parsons. We've been enjoying this story while we've been in nursery the last few weeks, so that's why I especially wanted to share it with all of you. It's called Billy's Bucket. And this must be the road that Billy lives on. And here's Billy sitting in his chair. Right, let me just move the camera around a little bit and then you can see the book a little bit better. Okay. Can I have a bucket for my birthday? Asked Billy. Billy's dad looked up from his newspaper. A bucket? You don't want a bucket for your birthday. Nobody has buckets for their birthday. Why don't they? Asked Billy. Because, Billy, explained his mum, buckets are far too buckety to be a birthday present. But Billy wouldn't be persuaded. Please, can I have a bucket? He asked. Have a bike, said his dad. Or some new trainers, said his mum. Or a computer game. I want a bucket, said Billy. Oh, all right, said Billy's dad. You can have a bucket for your birthday. Yippee! Shouted Billy. So the next day, Billy and his mum and dad went to Buckets R Us. There were buckets of buckets at Buckets R Us. There were rubber buckets, plastic buckets, metal buckets, garden buckets, farm buckets, builders buckets, seaside buckets, and even football buckets. Billy's mum and dad followed Billy up and down every single aisle. What sort of bucket are you looking for? They asked. I don't know, said Billy, but I'll know when I see it. Oh my goodness me, what a lot of choice they have at Buckets R Us. How's he ever going to choose? Billy looked long and hard at every single bucket on every single shelf. There it is, he shouted excitedly. That's the one I want, right up there. 19 shelves up and 78 from the left. Billy's mum and dad got someone to help them. They all look the same to me, said the shop assistant. No, that one's special, said Billy excitedly. He's spotted the one he wants, hasn't he? When Billy got home, he ran straight into the kitchen and filled his bucket with water. Now, I've got a little bag here with some things in, and one of the things I have in my bag is a bucket. So let's pretend that's my bucket. Where can I put it where you can see it? I don't think I can. Pop it on my knee, a bucket. So there he is, filling his bucket up with water. Wow, said Billy, peering inside his bucket. Wow, I can see a rock pool with crabs and seaweed. Now, somewhere in here, I have a crab. Here he is. A very sparkly crab. So I'll pop him down on my knee with my bucket. So here's Billy looking inside his bucket. He can see crabs and seaweed and little shrimpy things. Of course you can, Billy, smiled his dad. I don't think he believes Billy, does he? As Billy's just put water into his bucket and all sorts of things have appeared. Wowee, said Billy, I've just seen a shark. Of course you did, Billy, laughed his mum. She doesn't believe him. Guess what I've seen now, said Billy, sitting down for his birthday tea. I've seen a stingray and some clownfish and a huge shoal of barracuda. There's the clownfish. A lot like Nemo, isn't it? And I think I've seen a mermaid. Here's the mermaid coming out of my bag. Here she is. Oh, she's got a sparkly scarf on. She's a mermaid. Can you just see the mermaid in the pictures? Very small here. But he's seen the stingray, the clownfish and the barracuda. Of course you have, Billy, laughed his dad. Billy carried his bucket into the lounge. What's in your bucket at the moment, Billy? Chuckled his dad. 2 submarines, 1, 2, and a pilchard, said Billy. What's in your bucket now? Giggled Billy's mummy. 7 sea lions and a walrus, said Billy. Of course there are, Billy, laughed his mum and dad. Oh my goodness, Billy can see all these lovely things in his bucket. Here he is, look, just see his face there peering down, and here. But his mummy and daddy, they're laughing, they don't believe him. They think it's all in his imagination, don't they? Billy was still staring into his bucket at bedtime. Billy's dad nudged his wife and winked. Billy, is it all right if we borrow your bucket to mix up some wallpaper paste tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and frowned. No, it isn't. There are dolphins in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever borrow my bucket. Billy's mum waited a few moments. She winked at her husband. Billy, is it all right if we borrow your bucket to water the roses tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and shook his head. There are 2 scuba divers in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever borrow my bucket. My goodness me, he doesn't want them to use it, does he? Billy's dad chuckled to himself. He waited a few more minutes. Billy, is it all right if I borrow your bucket to clean the car tomorrow? Billy looked up from his bucket and sighed. No, it isn't all right. There is a coral reef in my bucket at the moment. You must never, ever, ever borrow my bucket. There he is, looking at his bucket. What an imagination, laughed Billy's mum and dad. OK, time for bed. Billy put his bucket with his other toys and went upstairs. There it is, look. Thanks for a lovely birthday present, he said. It's the best present in the world. When Billy woke up the next morning, he got dressed and he quickly ran downstairs to play with his bucket. But it wasn't there. Look at his face. Oh no, where's my bucket? Mummy's feeding the dog at the moment. There he is in the house wondering where his bucket is. Uh-oh. Now there's Dad with Billy's bucket. There's the car. Here's Billy and the dog and Mummy. But what's come out of the bucket? Can you see? A huge whale has come out of the bucket. I told you not to borrow my bucket, said Billy. Oh my goodness, look, the car was supposed to be being washed. It's been squashed by the whale that's come out of Billy's bucket. It took Billy's mum and dad 6 hours, 3 fire engines, 4 cranes and a shoehorn to get the whale back into the bucket. They never borrowed Billy's bucket again. And in this picture, instead of Billy looking down into his bucket, there's Mum and Dad as well. And all the sea creatures inside his bucket. I think Billy's mum and dad believe him now, don't they, about all the lovely things he can see. Well, I do hope you like that story, all about Billy's bucket. Okay, see you later, nursery.